Here's something most people don't expect. At the ultra affluent level, success is rarely about having the best strategy, not even the best product. It's about being the person people trust, want to refer to, and want to bring into their inner circle. That's what we mean by relational capital. And it's built by serving first, not selling first. At Wealth Quotient, that belief shapes the way we coach sales professionals and fundraisers who work with the ultra wealthy. And I break down the framework that we use with them in my book, Build Your Wealth Quotient. You can download a free copy using the link below. Now, today's episode of Relational Capital brings those ideas to life in a very practical way. My guest today is Ben Dow. Ben is the senior director at Aviva, a private aviation brokerage and advisory firm that works with some of the most successful and accomplished people in the world. Ben grew up in aviation. Over the years, he's built long-term relationships with founders, celebrities, and billionaires by earning trust in an industry where reputation matters and mistakes, quite frankly, travel fast. And what I really appreciate about Ben is how grounded he is about this work. We talk about how access is actually earned, why referrals matter so much at the highest levels, and what it really takes to build trust over time with people who are used to being sold to constantly. This conversation is honest, it's practical, and very real. And if you want to understand how relational capital is built in the real world, not in theory, you're going to get a lot out of this one. Well, look who we have today, Mr. Ben Dow. It's great to have you with us today.
That's great to see you, Brian. Appreciate you doing this.
We're discussing relational capital, right? And we have all these different industries that are trying to reach the same people. People that are in the ultra luxury space like you are, whether it's aviation or yachting or real estate. You've got your private bankers and your wealth management, and your insurance agents. And then we've got higher ed fundraisers and nonprofit fundraisers, all very different industries. But what's the common thread? Everybody's trying to reach the same people, right? The same people. And so you have such a wisdom and experience in building relationships with very wealthy people, very famous people. So why don't you tell our audience a little about yourself?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And, I love the platform that you've built, and I appreciate the opportunity. I'm the vice president and senior managing director at Aviva. We are a brokerage firm that specializes in pre-owned aircraft sales and new aircraft sales. We consult on new aircraft deliveries, but at a high level, the company was founded back in 2006, but it's grown tremendously since then, over the 15 years, or now 20 years, I suppose.
Wow.
And we started as a small company, which became the Aviva today, which has grown with our customers. We've had customers go from Citation Mustangs to G550s, and we've been with them, their whole aviation journey. So, I'm humbled to be part of that and have the ability to interact with these individuals that have reached the pinnacles in their career where they can afford the luxury and convenience of private aviation.
How did you get into aviation? Was this something you grew up that was an interest and passion of yours? Did you just fall into it?
I grew up in aviation. My parents started a charter and management company back in the early 80s. And I grew up watching that company grow and develop to a fairly sizable fleet. I was stubborn, bullheaded, went to college, and wanted to prove the world that I could do something outside of the family business. So I tried, right? And I had some success, but unfortunately it was around real estate during a time where real estate was not doing so hot. And, aviation wasn't either at the time, but, I decided to go back, and start a sales division, for my family's company that
Oh, wow.
ended up being, fairly successful. And I was pulled away, by another company that eventually was acquired by Aviva. So, in a nutshell, I was born into it, and now I can't get it out of my blood.
So, okay, so if this was kind of what your parents, the charter management sort of thing, were you like kind of always around wealthy people as part of that? Was that something you always felt comfortable with, or was that sort of like a new skill set that you had to develop as time went on?
Well, you know, it's a skill set that you're always going to have to continue to develop and refine. But at some level, I was always around that environment.
Hmm.
From the outside looking in, it could be intimidating, but to me, it was normal meeting with these clients and having these discussions or being witness to it when I was younger,
Yeah.
not necessarily in the business, being witness to it and just seeing how those interactions unfolded. So at an arm's length, I've kind of always been plugged into it. So I don't know if it came easier to me, but you know, I think the one takeaway is a lot of the individuals that we sell to, work with, consult for, they put their pants on the same way we do. A lot of them are just really genuine people who've worked very, very hard and made some extreme sacrifices to get to where they're at. And being able to recognize that and appreciate them for that more so than the finished product, which is their success. Um, I think that's meaningful. So
When new salespeople come in, or people are just starting in their careers, is there any sort of like advice that you've given about kind of how they don't get intimidated and kind of
yeah.
is it just you got to cut your teeth? What's been your experience?
Well, there's no replacement for time in the seat.
Hmm.
So the reality is a lot of it comes with just repetition.
Yeah.
What we do from a sales standpoint is I don't want to minimize it and say it's unlike selling widgets and something like that. But the reality is at the end of the day, it's sales and it is a numbers game to some degree. But at the same token, it's at a higher level. And the caliber of people that you're exposed to on a regular basis can be intimidating.
Hmm.
It takes time to break down those barriers and build the confidence. I think the biggest thing that I try to impose upon new sales directors that are working at our company is really to don't let the no's affect you. You know, put that aside and keep going. The next call could be a yes, or it could be a
Yeah.
don't ever call me again. But you know, you have to build that internal resilience and confidence that it's okay. I mean, it's okay to pick
Hmm.
up the phone. It's okay to hear no, and move on. Don't let that one you know moment in your day, that one moment of negativity affect the rest of your day because you know, every no is one more call to a yes. So,
Yeah. So, you've been doing this for quite some time, family business, so what have been really the best ways that you've found to actually get access? Before we can build trust, before we can actually
right.
develop a relationship, we got to get in the room and get in front of these folks. So, what have been the best ways that you found to actually get in front of these very hard to reach people?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things. And I'd be remiss to say that a lot of my activity and a lot of my business has, in fact, come from referrals.
Yeah.
But to your point, that's because I've built the trust and I've laid that foundation. So to build, to really get in there and build the trust, meet your clients where they're at. We have so many tools in today's day and age, whether it's social media. I mean, you can find just about everything. I mean, get engaged with them on a personal level.
Hmm.
There's the last thing that someone wants, especially a high performing, highly successful, ultra high net worth individual. A, if you can get them on the phone, number one, and you're not, met with a gatekeeper. They don't want to be sold.
Yeah.
You have to bring value to every interaction. And if you're not bringing value to them, why would they pay attention to you? And it has to be genuine. I mean, the reality is in our industry, the aviation industry is small. And when you look at what we do transactionally, it's minuscule. And then
Hmm.
if you look at our core markets that we focus on, being a make model specific company, it gets even smaller. And these owners are getting bombarded daily with emails, calls, you name it, to try to get in the door. So bringing value to every interaction is critical.
Yeah. I love the idea of going to where they are, right? I think what I find a lot of people just I wouldn't call it laziness because I don't think they're being lazy. I just think sometimes it's thinking outside of the box, right?
Sure.
And you know, if I am trying to sell to ultra wealthy people, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to figure out what are all the um, luxury kind of events that are happening in my city. What are the biggest charity galas and events that are happening? And I'm not just waiting for leads to come to me. I'm going to go out and shake hands and kiss babies and try to go mix and mingle and be where people are,
Yeah.
right? But I think sometimes people don't, I don't know. I think we just sometimes just wait for leads to come in and okay, then I'll build relationships. But we've got to go out and be where those folks are. I'm curious
Exactly.
though, what's the craziest thing you've ever tried to do to get in the room with somebody or whatnot? Have you taken any kind of big risks that maybe worked or didn't work?
Uh, I don't know that I can specifically say that I have, but I know of people that have done some wild things that have worked. Anywhere from, and this goes way back to a gentleman who was a mentor at one point, and I worked with him. But when he was in his early stages of his career, he got a ton of frisbees, and he put his company name and his phone number on it, and everywhere he went, he was tossing people frisbees. And it's hey, you're the frisbee guy.
Wow.
It's sometimes it's the
I'd say that's a bit risky. I don't know
it's
if I'd want to be
it
known as the
is.
frisbee guy, but I'm sure
Well, hey, airplanes, frisbees, they all fly.
they
They've got a
fly.
number on it. I mean,
Okay.
I think it's the stuff like that again make you stand out. I don't know if it's stopping by for dropping off some donuts and just saying hey,
Hmm.
or again, these interactions that we have, they have to be genuine, they have to be meaningful.
Yeah.
um no one wants to be sold to. I mean, it's
Nobody
just,
wants to be sold.
here's
It's
what it
it's
is.
it's kind of crazy. I mean, look, I tend to think when it comes to ultra wealthy people, right? We're not selling, we're providing information. They make
Exactly.
decisions, right? But
Yeah.
but that trust and that access and all that sort of stuff is just isn't easy. It isn't necessarily easy to navigate, right?
Yeah.
So you've got very famous clients, you've got very wealthy clients. How have you through the years built trust with them? Are there common threads that have kind of run through your engagements with them that you look back and you're like, these are the ingredients that kind of have to be there?
Yeah. Well, I think there's one thing that stands out to me. And Cyrus, our one of our founders, really does it well, exceptionally well, and it's done exceptionally well in the owner flown segment. If you're literally flying with them, and that's authority gradient. And I think that transcends everything that we do. We are the experts in what we do. They are the experts in what they do. Building that trust, helping them understand that yes, you are the authority on the subject, and it takes time. What we do in our industry, it's not a phone call and a sale.
Yeah.
It's not a phone call and a contract and then a sale. It's the lead time and the turn time on what we do can be months, can be years. I remember when I first got into the industry, I thought, how on earth am I going to do this? Get in front of these people. It's grinding. Number one, you got to put the time in. And obviously, the more swings at bat, the more balls you're going to hit, the luckier you're going to get. And it took me it took me a good 18 months to have my first successful transaction, which
Hmm.
ultimately ended up being probably one of the most complex transactions I've done to date.
Well,
And what a learning experience that was. So,
how did you end up getting in? Like, take us through that. How did that kind of relationship come about? How did you get access?
I mean, without naming names or saying things, it was a government aircraft for another country that was effectively their Air Force One,
Okay.
and
That
through my
sounds slightly complex.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
but the amount of the training in that deal alone, the knowledge that I gained from that deal alone, it's just something that you can't teach. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to live it, you have to experience it. But to get back to your question, How did I get there? Networking,
Hmm.
building your trusted people around you. And that's not necessarily clients and end users. It's your pool. It's your pool of people throughout the world in the same industry that you garner their trust and build those relationships, because those in our industry can be as important, if not more important, than the end user,
Hmm.
because they're controlling and maintaining one side of the transaction. So having a trusting relationship outside of our high net worth individuals or companies that we're dealing with, that's huge. And
It's like that gives you the credibility. That's the foundation that they can go to and be like, okay, is Ben at Jet Aviva, the real deal? And there's other
right,
people that are giving credibility to, yeah, we think highly of him and Jet Aviva, and they know their stuff. It's the idea that, your brand, your performance, your platform, your expertise, all of that has to be there.
sure,
But ultimately, you've got to build a relationship with somebody. And I've always said it's got to be, it comes down to chemistry and trust. People don't buy the best products. They buy from people that they like and they trust.
100%.
So how are you building trust with folks? I'm curious to get in your brain and what's
Yeah.
the framework that you're operating off of?
To your point, the brand and the integrity of the brand takes you only so far. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, you as an individual, as a representation of that brand, have to perform and perform in a trusting manner.
Yeah.
The reality is, I wish I could tell you there was a magic silver bullet that this is how I gain trust. Here you go. Here's the
Hmm.
formula, right?
Yeah.
If I knew that, I'd put it out on Instagram and start telling,
I don't think you would. Maybe you'd want to keep it to yourself. Who knows?
I'd sell it for 19.99 and
There you go.
get a couple million of those. But no, I mean, it really is. It's showing up.
Yeah.
It's deal proximity. And when I say that, is be close to your customer, be close to either physically, or just constantly, in touch with them, staying in tune with what's going on in their lives and recognizing that. I mean,
Yeah.
do they have kids? Do their kids have birthdays? Do they play sports? Be involved, be engaged. Taking that next step to show that you genuinely care, that's one huge element. I mean, that's gonna help break down some barriers. But at the end of the day, mean what you say and say what you mean. And if
Yeah.
if if you say you're gonna call them, call them. If you say you're gonna do something, you do something. It's so easy to get bombarded and forget about things, but I think the best salespeople are the ones that have the consistency, the
Hmm.
follow up, and the diligence to do what they say.
Do you think that there's a lot of bad salespeople, or do you think that those people get weeded out pretty quick? Yeah, do what you say what you mean. You've got to stay close. But do you think the people that don't, that maybe are more transactional? I'm genuinely curious. I don't know what your take is on this, but do you think there are a lot of those kinds of people that are doing this work and are finding success, or do you think those people just get weeded out over time?
Yeah, I mean, the barrier to entry for our industry is pretty low.
Yeah.
We are part of an organization, IADA, International Aircraft Dealer Association. We're trying to set a global standard, an ethical standard, some practices, that best practices to train your sales team, that hold the company accountable to. And we meet on this all the time, to discuss this. So it's our effort to kind of bring legitimacy and frankly stiffen the barrier of entry for quality people to be doing what we do.
Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, I mean, I think those that are transactional, they get weeded out fairly quickly. If you're in any sales role and your sole focus is commission, making a fee, making a buck, you're in it for the wrong reasons. So
Yeah.
I genuinely care about all my clients. They're important to me. They're meaningful to me. And at the end of the day, if I mess up and I need to eat something from a fee standpoint, uh, it's the right thing to do. I mean,
Yeah.
my clients come first, and that's really what it's all about.
And they'll feel that, and it's something that they can sense and they can see right through,
Yeah,
disingenuousness. All right, couple rapid fire questions here,
sure.
right? I'm wondering if there's been any engagements that you've had that have just completely shocked you or surprised you, in terms of how they started or how they developed, but you're just
Yeah.
like, I never saw this coming, and I learned so much from this.
Yeah, I mean, I have one client in particular, flies below the radar. You'd never know that he's a multi-billionaire. Probably one of the kindest individuals I've ever met. I mean, frankly, every interaction I have, he's more cared about, concerned, and cares about me, what's
Yeah.
going on in my life than telling me about his. So that was a interaction that really shocked me, and that's a relationship that I mean I've
Just that
cherished.
he cares so much about you?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he recognizes that, look, we're all human. We're put on this earth for a finite period of time. He's been blessed with, this fortune that he's amassed, and he recognizes that. So he cares. He's generous. He cares, and that was a little surprising to me. And frankly, it was because I was coming off a rather opposite interaction with a client. So to step into that relationship and develop it over the years it's
Well,
been probably one of the
everybody
most rewarding.
everybody thinks billionaires are evil.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, look, a lot of people have said, man, if somebody's going to make that much money and they become a billionaire, then they've got to like step over people. They've got to do shady stuff. What's your experience when you've interacted with these folks? People are people and everybody's different, but
Sure.
I'm curious as to you deal with a lot of billionaires, you deal with a lot of extremely wealthy people. What's your experience in that regard?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's just fascinating to me, how some of these individuals have amassed their wealth over the years, and the types of companies and the fashions that they've done it. Um, it's really it's mind-boggling when I get the opportunity to interact with all these different individuals and learn how they've amassed their wealth. It's fascinating, some of the
Yeah.
things. So I would say, the one thing that I take away is I don't think anyone that I've dealt with, I can say is bulldozed people to get to where they are.
Yeah.
Are they highly competitive? Absolutely. But the reality is, I don't think it takes a unethical individual to make it to that level. I honestly think the people that genuinely care and do the right thing consistently are the ones that see the most success, or at least appreciate the success that they have.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say this because what you're kind of leading into is people that are really good at selling to or raising money from wealthy people. One of the common threads that I see is really a genuine interest in their stories. You just
Yeah.
mentioned it, right? You use the word fascinating. It's fascinating the journeys they went to and the sacrifices they made. And that seems to be something that's a unique quality of people that do well in this space is an interest and a fascination in the story
Uh-huh.
of what got people to where they are, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's a quality of curiosity.
Hmm.
I use the word fascinating, but to be constantly curious, um, asking the right questions, digging a little bit deeper to peel back that onion. Those are the type of things that really define the good from the great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anyone can pick up the phone and, as they say, dial for dollars, but asking those questions, genuinely caring, you know, getting into the real minutia of what makes that person tick. I love that. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
has a story. Whether
Everyone has
you're
a story. Yeah.
yeah, whether you're sweeping floors or, building skyscrapers and, sitting on piles of Duck McScrooge type money. Like, everyone has a story, and it needs to be told. And to me, it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, look, the story is such a big part of who they are. And to your point, sacrifices that were made and families that might have been disrupted or
Sure.
whatnot. And I think, to your point, those that have a real human interest in other humans tend to do well. And if we're just focused on the transaction or how many deals I can close, that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. One of my mentors was the head of fundraising for one of the largest nonprofits in the country
Hmm.
and got the largest gift ever that this one billionaire family had ever given. And it was, 100 million, somewhere close to there in terms of a philanthropic contribution.
Okay.
And one of the things he told me was before he ever approached, he spent like weeks reading every book that he could find on the principle and the dynamics of the family. Obviously, a very, very well-known family. And I thought,
Hmm.
man, talk about next level interest. But that's
Sure.
what it took, right? And he was able to understand the trajectory of their life, the legacy, and tie the gift that he was asking for to what he knew to be true. But I just
Sure.
thought, who's taken the time to read 9 books? But that's the mindset of the curiosity of really trying to
Yeah.
understand who it is you're engaging.
That's what it takes. I mean,
Yeah,
it really does. Some find out your client's interests, beyond the obvious.
yeah.
What do they do in their free time, if they have any free time,
If they
you
have
know?
any free time.
Um, I think a lot of things that resonate with me with some of my clients is their philanthropic interests. The reality is a lot of these individuals are engaged in philanthropy, and knowing that, because a lot, we are individually as well, and finding that common thread, and going back to what I said in the beginning, meeting them where they are, understanding what their passions are,
Yeah.
that's meaningful.
Well, and the more you can know that, the better you're going to understand them, the better you're going to be able to ask questions and relate and speak to them about things that they care about. Okay,
Exactly.
I got one last question. What's the advice you'd give yourself and you'd give to anybody else that's watching that's saying this is how, if you want to engage this audience, these are the things you need to do.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I wish there was a singular answer, but there's not. And honestly, looking back, if I could give myself advice, I'd say, um, confidence. Lead with confidence. You may not be what you. Chances are you're not, right. You're not the smartest person in the room, and it's okay. It's okay. And the one thing that we impress upon, our teammates, is don't be the smartest person in the room, because we have a team to support you. So
Sure.
surround yourself with people smarter than you. If you are the
Yeah.
smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room.
You're in
So,
the wrong room. Yeah.
yeah. So I would say lead with confidence, be able to rebound, take no, and move on. Look at
Yeah.
no as one step closer to a yes. Um, and then show up. Show
Yeah.
up, genuinely show up and care and put the time in. What we do is, there's no quick way to success in what we do. Sure, there's luck in any sales role, but the reality is, the more effort and time you put in, the more success you're going to have. And
Yeah.
again, it comes back to trust. Our industry is small. You burn a bridge, and that's going to cost you trust, and to build that back is probably 3 to 4 times as hard.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and what you said kind of one of the things that really resonate is just that kind of takes the pressure off, right? Is the understanding that this takes time. And
uh
if you can't shortcut it, then just do the right things. And over time, it'll work out. You'll be fine. But if you're looking for shortcuts, you're probably going to end up in it, hitting dead ends. Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, and all industries have probably the same situation where, you get in and you realize there's all these different facets that you can be involved in
Yeah.
aviation, and organizations and events, and you name it. You could be on the road 365 days a year doing networking, at these events. And I consistently try to tell, my sales team is, stay in your lane. You fill that singular cup full of water, it's going to overflow at some point. But
Hmm.
if you're thinning yourself out, you're mediocre at best in a multiple different areas. So,
Yeah.
pick your lane, stick to it, and overflow it. And that's where you're going to get your most success.
I love it. I love it. Ben, I appreciate you giving us some time.
No, my
So
pleasure.
thankful for you and the work you do and being willing to give back. So you're the man, Ben. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian. Same here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Relational Capital. If you found today's episode helpful, or if you'd like to learn more about the Wealth Quotient approach to growing your ultra-wealthy client and donor base through a data-driven referral process built on relationships and trust, you can download my book, Build Your Wealth Quotient, to explore the framework behind relational capital, trust, and referrals. And if you'd like more conversations like this, follow or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Relational Capital is produced by Wealth Quotient.